and welcome to another episode of Truck Tales. I'm Ahmet, this is my truck, and this is where I talk to you about various tales on topics that might be on my mind or relevant for the time period. Today in this episode 11, I want to talk to you about running a business and if it's for you or not. Okay, it's a question I get asked quite often about business. How is it? What's it like? How do you start up? Is it for me? What does it consist of? So hopefully by the end of this video, I should try and help you make up your mind whether running a business is actually for you or not. So a bit of background. I personally run two main businesses. One's a media company specialising in website design, marketing, and the other one is a CCTV and security company for home and small businesses. So in my young or mild 40-year life, I'm 39, so I'll be 40 this year. I have had many business ideas that I've tried to put forward. Some of them were just ideas, some of them I actually progressed more and put into a business. Some worked, some didn't. Not every business idea is going to work. Now, to begin with, it's key to understand what the purpose of a business actually is. Now, a business in its simplest terms is something that solves problems, in exchange for a, generally speaking, monetary value, right? So you're tackling an issue, solving a problem, and getting rewarded by it, either with cash or something else. That's generally what a business is defined as. So the question I get asked, is it for me? What's it like? There's a lot of misconceptions about business. I think, generally speaking, those who are not in business think that those who are in business spend a lot of time doing nothing and getting paid loads of money. The honest truth is it's far from that. Now, don't get me wrong, after a period of time, once you've settled and established and your business grows to a point, you are able to take a step back ever so slightly, still get paid reasonably well, and maybe not have to do as much as you did when you first started that particular business. So to begin with, businesses and who start them, I find that generally you've either got that entrepreneurial mindset, and you're always looking constantly at solving problems, or you're generally in that industry or in an industry and you now want to do it yourself, or you want to go solo and you want to run a business doing that particular industry that you've been working in. Now, the entrepreneurial side, if you're an entrepreneur, and you want to run a business, you're probably not going to be watching this video anyway. And if you are, you may benefit from some of the processes of running a business that I'll talk about later on. This video is probably more aimed towards those who are not sure if they want to run a business. They're probably in an industry and they're doing a job and they want to do that as a business, or they're just looking to do something else on the side, a bit of side hustle to earn some extra money. So the one thing I want to mention is there are many people that are employed to do a particular job. Let's say a plasterer or a plumber, and they're very good at doing that job. So you're a plumber, you're very good at doing plumbing, you're currently in a job, and you really enjoy doing it, and you think, do you know what, I want to run my own business. I see how they do it, I want to get that done, I want to do it myself. So it's key to note that you may be the best plumber in your area, but running a business is completely different. And I find, through my experience in my media company, helping people start up with websites, I find there are a lot of skilled tradespeople or skilled people in a particular job that are very good at doing that job, but when it comes to running a business, they completely flop. And there's nothing wrong with that, right? So there's nothing wrong with being really good at your job but not having your own business. Don't feel like I must have my business. Sometimes you might actually find that running a business is actually just not for you, because the whole running of a business and the impact that has on you often far outweighs the benefits of not running a business, and just some people are just not cut out for it. They're just not cut out for running a business. So the whole process behind that, starting your company, the hours that you've got to put in initially are significant. There are a lot of hours you've got to put in the day, often or not without a day off for weeks, sometimes even months. And during that initial startup period of your business, the rewards that you will see are often going to be very minimal to non-existent. And sometimes that in itself can be enough to make people think this is not for me. Now, that whilst that might be true, that does, I believe, highlight the character of that person and their will to continue through those difficult times. Because look, if you can't soldier on through the initial difficult startup process of a business, well, what happens when you've got to take time off because you're ill? How's your business going to survive? What about during the pandemic? Are you going to be able to survive? What if something happens and you have a life emergency? Can you survive? So if you feel that you can't even manage that beginning part of the business where it will be difficult starting up, starting a business might not be for you. And that, again, there's nothing wrong with it. There's nothing wrong with not running your own business. There's nothing wrong with not having your own business. Sometimes people think, well, that everyone should have a business. If I'm doing this particular job, I must have a business. I mean, that's not necessarily true. What I find is generally the way is that people will be in a job, they might not be happy about that job and they're just moaning about it, but they're not actually doing anything about it, so not progressing furthermore either within that job or to go and pursue that business that they want to. And I hope I'm not just going on too much with that subject. What I don't want this video to be, or to come across as being, look, don't start a business, because starting a business has many pros. That is for sure. And me personally, I love it. I love starting the business. I love running the business. The flexibility it provides me, both at home, family life, social. The money that you can make can often be endless, providing you're getting the work, obviously. So it does have its pros, but I just want to really try and highlight to people that, one, you don't have to run a business to be successful. If you do want to run a business, you really need to be aware of the initial hurdles that you will have to climb over to make that successful. If you think, when you start a business, I mentioned earlier about you need to be a problem solver. So if you're looking at a particular industry and you think, right, so this is for those who are not in an industry and they just want to solve a problem, and you think, do you know what, my local recycling centre doesn't exist or doesn't have particular access for those who may be disabled, for example, right? So you might think, do you know what, that's a problem. How can I tackle that problem? You know, you might come up with an idea and you might think, right, I can develop a platform near the bins that help those in a wheelchair lift themselves up and, you know, put something in the bin, right? So you've identified a problem, you want to try and work out how you can solve that problem, and before you know it, you're going to start setting yourself up as a business providing platforms for your local recycling centre. Now, obviously, before you do that, you know, you'd need to do your research. What exists? What doesn't exist? What competition is there out there? Who are you up against? Who is currently doing that? And how are they doing it? Are they doing it well? Because often or not, you may find that you can disrupt a particular industry by doing something in a different way completely, by doing it better. Doing things cheaper doesn't necessarily always mean that you're going to get the work. Okay, so remember that. Just because you do it cheaper doesn't necessarily mean that people are going to come flocking to you. Some people don't mind paying the additional extra if they're going to get the service that goes with it. So don't feel like you have to try and sort of lower your prices. That was one of the things that I did when I started CCTV Aware. I initially started off at selling goods at a loss because I was still in an employment. It was a strategy that I did deliberately in order to try and, one, disrupt that market area, but also give me a portfolio of customers. And that, you know, that worked for me. And, you know, 7-8 years later, you know, the business is now generating six-figure turnover, and it's profitable each year. So sometimes that strategy can work, and so long as it's done carefully, you know, you may find that successful. But to try and not wander off the topic too much, if you're thinking about starting a business and you're currently in an employment, I would strongly suggest that you stay in that employment whilst you're still starting up, okay? Because you need some sort of money to come in, you need some sort of income. Don't just up and leave and say, yeah, I'm going to start my business. It could be quite a risky area. If you've still got some money coming in, at least you can still manage to pay your bills, you know, and use that to fund your business. And then ultimately, what you'll find is that as it becomes successful, if it becomes successful, your business or your hustle starts to overtake your main job. And when you start earning the equivalent, or if not more, in your business than you did when you was employed, that's kind of the indicator when it's time to leave. And then even that in itself, to be honest, could sometimes cause another barrier, because then you start doubting yourself. Well, does the business work? Is it going to work? You know, when you're in employment, you're getting paid every month, every week, whatever. It's quite comfortable and secure. And then all of a sudden you're asking yourself to leave on this self-employed route. So it can be quite scary, but if you don't take that risk, you're not really going to get that reward. So that's just one thing to bear in mind. You know, so think about it. If you want to start a business, have a look at the area, have a look at the marketplace. Can you do it better? Can you solve that issue? Can you solve a problem? Okay, that's what business is. Solving problems for a monetary value. Okay. I guess the topic of business can be way more than this episode, and I don't want to sort of harp on the issue too much, to be honest, because I want to keep this more specific about starting up and is it for me. But maybe I should summarise this video with: starting a business is not for everyone. Okay, bear that in mind. You can be great at your job. You can be great at your trades in particular, or the service that you provide. but you might not be that good at running a business. So there's nothing wrong with that. It might not be for everyone, but if it is, you can make a success of it. And the rewards, often or not, that you get with running a business can sometimes far outweigh that in an employment. And I'm not saying that running a business is better than being employed. Okay, honestly, there are some employments that are fantastic. Oh yeah, and even I would probably think, you know what, I'd love to have that job. That'd be great, and I wouldn't want to run a business. But I guess you need to be cut out to run a business. It needs to be in you to do it. It's not in everybody, and there's not necessarily anything wrong with that. So just bear that in mind, really. Anyway, not going to go on too long. I now need to fill this truck up, which is quite a regular occurrence in this truck. But anyway, if you've got any questions on business, do put them in the comments, and I'll try and help. If you're not sure about certain things on starting up, or you want to learn anything more about it, do let me know. If you feel you'd like another video on a particular topic surrounding the business, again, do put that in the comments, and I'll try and oblige as and when I can. Until then, until the next one, take care, and I'll see you guys soon.